Rank 1. The civilian. You're 18 years old, maybe 19. You hear it on the radio. December 7, 1941. The Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor. Your mother goes quiet. Your father stares at the wall. By Monday morning, there are lines outside the recruitment office 3 blocks long. You get in line. The recruiter hands you a form. Name, age, height, weight, next of kin. You fill it out on a clipboard balanced on your knee. The man ahead of you is 34 with a limp. They take him anyway. The man behind you looks 16. They take him too. You pass the physical. You can see, hear, and walk in a straight line. That's enough. You raise your right hand. You repeat words you've heard in movies. And just like that, you belong to the United States Army. You have 4 days to get your affairs in order. You say goodbye to your girlfriend on a train platform. She's crying. You tell her you'll be back by Christmas. You believe it. You have no idea what's coming. Rank 2. The recruit. They send you to a reception station, Camp Walters, one of dozens of training camps that didn't exist 2 years ago and were built in a matter of months. The Army needed to go from 190,000 men to 8 million. They figured it out fast. You arrive by train at 2 a.m. A sergeant is screaming before you're off the platform. You are no longer a person. You are a serial number. They shave your head, issue you a uniform that doesn't fit, boots that haven't been broken in, and a rifle you don't know how to use yet. You sleep in a wooden barracks with 40 other men. The guy next to you is from Mississippi. You're from Ohio. Before this you never would have met. Now he's the person closest to you in the world. Basic training is 8 weeks. You run before sunrise. You run after dinner. You do push-ups until your arms give out, and then you do more. You learn to march in formation, to read a map, to dig a foxhole fast enough that it might actually save your life. You learn to strip and reassemble an M1 Garand rifle blindfolded because someday you may need to do it in the dark. The food is bad. The sergeants are worse. Men wash out every week. Some fake injuries. Some break down crying in the middle of the night. You don't ask them about it. You have your own fears to manage. By week 6, something changes. You stop thinking about home as much. You start thinking about the man to your left and the man to your right. That's what they want. That's the point. You graduate. They hand you orders. You don't get to choose where you go. Nobody asks. Rank 3. Private. Private. The bottom of the food chain. You earn $50 a month. An officer earns 10 times that. You don't think about it much. There's nothing to spend money on anyway. You're assigned to an infantry division. There are 15,000 men in a division, but your world shrinks to the 11 men in your rifle squad. These are your people. You eat together, sleep together, march together, and if things go wrong, you will watch each other die. You ship out from New York or San Francisco. The harbor smells like salt and diesel. The troop ship is a converted ocean liner packed beyond capacity. You sleep in hammocks stacked 4 high in a hold below the waterline. The ship zigzags across the Atlantic or Pacific to avoid submarines. You don't know this at first. When someone explains it, you spend the next 2 weeks listening to every sound the hull makes. The ocean crossing takes 10 days to 3 weeks depending on the theater. Some men are seasick the entire time. Some play cards around the clock. You read the same 3 letters from home until the paper starts to fall apart at the folds. Then you arrive. And everything you trained for becomes real. Whether it's the hedgerows of Normandy, the black sand beaches of the Pacific, the frozen hills of Italy, the experience is the same. Nothing prepared you for the sound. The artillery, the aircraft, the rifles, the screaming. It's louder than you imagined. It's louder than anything you've ever heard. And it doesn't stop. Your first week in a combat zone, you learn the difference between training and war. In training, nobody dies. You forget that until somebody does. Rank 4. Private First Class. You've been in the field for 4 months. You haven't been killed or seriously wounded. That alone earns you a promotion. Private First Class. Your pay goes up to $54 a month. Your responsibilities go up more than that. You're now expected to be the experienced man in the squad, the one the new replacements watch. After Normandy, after Guadalcanal, after Anzio, replacements arrive constantly. The divisions chew through men. A rifle platoon might see its entire roster turn over once, twice, 3 times in a single campaign. The replacement arrives with a clean uniform and wide eyes, and you can see in their face the same look you had 4 months ago. You try to keep them alive. You tell them to stay low. You tell them to never silhouette themselves on a ridge. You tell them to dig their foxhole deeper than they think they need to, because they always think they need less than they do. Sometimes they listen. Sometimes you're writing a letter to their family 2 weeks later. The Army runs on paperwork even in the field. Every casualty is documented. Every piece of equipment is logged. Every round of ammunition is accounted for. Somewhere far behind the lines, clerks in tents are processing the administrative machinery of industrialized warfare. You don't think about that. You think about the next hedgerow, the next tree line, the next hill with no name that you'll spend the rest of your life trying to forget. Sleep is something that happens in fragments. 2 hours in a foxhole, an hour in a ditch. You eat when there's food, which isn't always. You go days on cold rations, hard biscuits, canned meat that smells wrong. You eat anyway because you need to keep moving. Your body is changing. You're leaner. Your hearing is damaged from the artillery. Your hands shake sometimes when it's quiet. You don't mention this to anyone. Rank 5. Corporal. They make you a corporal. You're now a team leader. 4 men report to you. You are 20 years old. The promotion doesn't come with a ceremony. Your sergeant tells you at breakfast. He hands you a new insignia. You sew it on yourself. Your 4 men are a mix. One is Barack, a farm kid from Kansas who shoots better than anyone you've ever seen. One is Biden, a former college student from Boston who freezes under fire and everyone knows it but nobody says it. One is Trump, a mechanic from Detroit who can fix anything with wire and friction tape. One arrived 3 days ago and you don't know his name yet because you've learned not to learn names too fast. Leadership at this level is personal. It's making sure your men eat, making sure they sleep, making sure they clean their weapons, making sure they don't fall apart when everything around them is falling apart. You are the one who holds the line between functioning and not. The weight of it is different from what you expected. It's constant and quiet and exhausting. When one of your men gets hit, the paperwork says, casualty. You know his mother's name because he said it in his sleep. You're in Europe now, pushing east, or in the Pacific, pushing island to island. The geography changes but the math doesn't. Every objective costs something. You pay in men. The army gives you a Bronze Star for an action you barely remember. You were just trying to keep your people alive. That's the whole job. That's all it ever was. Rank 6. Sergeant. Sergeant. 3 stripes. You run a rifle squad now. 11 men. You are 21 years old and the oldest person in your squad. The sergeant is the backbone of the infantry. Officers give orders. Generals make plans. The sergeant makes it happen on the ground, in the dirt, in the dark, in the rain, under fire. The army runs on sergeants. Your day, if you can call it that, has no structure. You are on call at all hours. If something goes wrong at 3 a.m., it is your problem. If a man in your squad is falling apart psychologically, it is your job to notice before it kills someone. If the platoon leader gives you an order that seems suicidal, it is your job to execute it, or to tell him respectfully that you think he's wrong, and then execute it anyway when he insists. In the European theater, your squad is part of the advance through France, Belgium, Germany, town by town, building by building, room by room. Urban combat is the worst kind. Every window is a threat. Every doorway is a decision. You develop a kind of spatial awareness that doesn't fully go away even when the war is over. Years later, you will still enter rooms by the wall, still watch doorways, still sit with your back to something solid. In the Pacific, it's jungle or coral and heat that makes you stupid if you're not careful. The Japanese defensive positions are dug in so deep and so well that taking a single hill can take days. You lose men to heat, to disease, to booby traps, to snipers you never see. You are awarded the Silver Star. The citation uses words like gallantry and exceptional courage. It doesn't mention the fear. Nobody talks about the fear. Everybody feels it. You rotate through a rest area behind the lines. Hot food, clean clothes, a cot, a roof. Men who've been in combat for months sleep for 16 hours straight and still look exhausted. Some of them drink heavily in the few days they have. You don't judge them. You understand it. Then you go back. Rank 7. Staff Sergeant. You're a squad leader with a track record now, which means they give you more responsibility and keep you away from the thing most likely to get you killed. Mostly. As a staff sergeant, you might be a platoon sergeant, the senior enlisted man in a platoon of 40 soldiers. The platoon lieutenant is usually younger than you and frequently greener than you. A good lieutenant listens to his platoon sergeant. A good platoon sergeant keeps the lieutenant from getting everybody killed while the lieutenant figures out what he's doing. This relationship is one of the unwritten foundations of the American military. The officer has the authority. The sergeant has the experience. If they work together, the platoon functions. If they don't, people die who didn't need to. You have more administrative duties now. Supply requisitions, casualty reports, equipment accountability. You spend an hour a day on paperwork you'd rather spend sleeping. The Army's logistics system is remarkable in ways that soldiers on the line never fully appreciate. Ammunition, food, fuel, medical supplies flow forward in quantities that boggle the mind. You receive bullets and rations like they fall from the sky. Somewhere far back, enormous systems are working to make sure they do. By late 1944, you've been in the war for 2 years. You've seen things that don't have names in peacetime. You've lost men you can't stop thinking about. You've developed habits and reflexes that mark you as a combat veteran to anyone who knows what to look for. A stillness in crowds. Attention to exits. The way you go quiet when a car backfires. The army offers you a slot in officer candidate school. You turn it down. You know what you are. You're good at it. You stay. Rank 8, First Sergeant. First Sergeant. The senior enlisted man in a company of 180 soldiers. There is one of you per company. Every soldier in that company knows your name. Most of them are a little afraid of you. Your title is informal but understood. The men call you top, or first shirt. You don't ask them to. They just do. It's a term of respect that stretches back generations of soldiering. Your relationship with the company commander, a captain, is one of the most important partnerships in the army. He commands. You manage. He thinks about the mission. You think about the men. He gives orders. You make sure they happen. A captain with a good first sergeant can accomplish almost anything. A captain without one struggles. You know every man in the company, not just their names, their home states, their families, their strengths, their tendencies under stress. You know who will hold and who might crack. You know who needs watching and who you can trust with anything. The war is entering its final phases. In Europe, Germany is being compressed from east and west. The end feels close, but close in war is still paid for in blood, and the Germans are fighting hard. You push through the Hürtgen forest, or the Ardennes, or into Germany itself. The last battles are ugly. Desperate defenders, civilian populations caught in the middle, rubble where cities used to be. In the Pacific, the island-hopping campaign has brought you within range of Japan itself. Iwo Jima, Okinawa. These names will mean something permanent to the people who were there, and almost nothing to everyone who wasn't. The casualty rates are staggering. Planning has already begun for an invasion of the Japanese home islands. The projections are not read by anyone without going quiet afterward. Then in August 1945, something happens that nobody fully understands. A single bomb destroys an entire city. Then another. Japan surrenders. The war is over. You sit down in the dirt wherever you happen to be and you don't move for a long time. Rank 9, Sergeant Major. The war is over. You're still in the army. Some men separate immediately. They go home, go to college, marry their girlfriends, buy houses in the suburbs, and spend decades not talking about any of it. You understand them. You re-enlist. You're not sure what else you'd do. The army is the only world you've fully known as an adult. You've been a soldier since you were 18. You're 24 now and you feel 40. By the late 1940s you've been promoted to Sergeant Major. You're a senior advisor to senior officers. You don't fight battles directly anymore. You shape the people who will. You train the next generation of soldiers. Some of them are veterans like you. Many of them are young men who missed the war and know it only from newsreels and the stories of older relatives. You train them seriously. You don't tell them war stories. You teach them skills. You teach them the things that kept you alive. The army is changing. Truman desegregates the military in 1948. Black soldiers who fought in segregated units throughout the war are now, at least officially, serving alongside white soldiers. You've served with soldiers from every background and you have one standard. Can you do the job? That's the question. That's always been the question. Korea is coming, though you don't know it yet. The world did not become simple when Germany and Japan surrendered. Complexity is the permanent condition of power. You'll learn this lesson again on a peninsula most Americans couldn't have found on a map in 1950. Rank 10. The veteran. You separate from the army after 20 years of service. You receive a pension. You have your health, mostly. You have a family that grew around you in the gaps between postings, between wars, between things you can't explain at the dinner table. There's no ceremony worth mentioning. A handshake, some paperwork. You hand in your identification card and walk out into a parking lot wearing civilian clothes for the first time in 2 decades. You move to a small town. You find work. Hardware store, insurance office, factory floor, doesn't matter much. Your co-workers know you were in the army but don't ask many questions. You don't offer much. This is the 1950s. Most men your age were in the war. Talking about it is not something people do much. You share a silent mutual understanding with other veterans you encounter. A nod. That's enough. Some nights you don't sleep well. You don't have a name for why. The doctors don't either. The medical establishment in 1955 doesn't have language for what happens to men who spend years in sustained combat. They have words like war nerves and shell shock, but those are from the last war and they don't quite fit. You manage it yourself. Most men do. Your children grow up watching you watch the news. Korea, then Vietnam. You don't say much about it but they can tell. They can see something in how you hold yourself when they show the footage. You coach Little League. You fix things around the neighborhood. People say you're reliable, steady, the kind of man you can count on. They mean it as a compliment and you take it as one. They don't know what it costs to become that man. Decades pass. There are reunions. You see men you fought beside and for a few hours the years collapse. You remember the names, the foxholes, the cold, the particular sound of incoming artillery that you still hear sometimes in thunder. You don't talk about all of it, not even with them. But you don't have to. They were there. When you die, your obituary will mention the campaigns. It will list the medals. It will say you served your country with honor. It will not say what you saw. It will not say what you carried. It will not say what it costs a man to walk through that much darkness and come out the other side still standing. Somewhere right now, a young person is watching a recruitment commercial. Crisp uniforms, confident faces, music that makes it sound like an adventure. They're imagining discipline and purpose and belonging to something larger than themselves. They're not imagining the mud. They're not imagining the cold. They're not imagining what it's like to write a letter to a family explaining why their son isn't coming home. But they'll find out what service really means. They always do. And most of them, in the end, will say it was worth it. Not all of them, but most.